Beautiful friends, beautiful souls, Satnam, welcome. I hope that you're having a beautiful day so far. It is Tuesday, January 30th, 2024, and it is time to feed your prediction addiction, baby. That's right, time to feed it. January is already about to come to a close, but at the same time, a Pluto revolution is upon us. A Pluto revolution. Pluto, the planet of deep transformation, is just moved into Aquarius. Then it's going to move back into Capricorn and back into Aquarius again, where it will remain for almost 2 decades. 20 years of Pluto being in Aquarius. Almost 20 years, not quite, but close enough. And this is going to change absolutely everything on our entire planet, including our way of life. For the better, of course, always holding in the light that it's going to be for the better. Because what's going to happen is Aquarius is the symbol of bringing balance back to the planet while pulling truth and the darkness right into the light. And we already seen that happening with the short stay in Aquarius before in the past, but now this is going to be a long process. And long but short at the same time. And I'm going to tell you what it's all about and what it means today, and why the Pluto revolution is so important, especially when it comes to politicians, leaders, liars, and potential attacks on America, France, and other countries, as I warned in the past. In my world predictions, I spoke about 2024 being power to the people, and a major year of truth leaking out, and truth that eventually leads to many arrests, controversy, and a shock to so many. Now we have an audio tape that has been released in which it allegedly KERRI Lake was being bribed to step out of politics completely. So, could this be real? She even mentioned in the audio that the cartel might try to take her out. So, is that potentially possible? But why exactly? Why did it take 2 years for this all to come out into the open? Is it possible that KERRI Lake is going to be in the White House in the near future? Not only potentially as a vice president, but could she end up being the first female president of the United States in the future? Obviously not in the 2024 election, but she can sneak in as VP. I'm going to tell you what I think and my feelings and visions that Spirit shared with me today. We also discussed many times potential attacks that were going to happen in America and other countries as well, like France. And years ago, we discussed and Spirit warned us of these sleeper cells that were going to be put into place by a combination of China, Russia, and several Middle Eastern countries. Also, in past predictions, you may recall that I discussed border conflicts along the border, Texas and other states getting involved as well. I also made predictions that there'd be cartel wars taking place. And we see that happening. We see a big conflict with the cartel in Ecuador. It happened in Mexico, 2 years ago? And now we have evidence that one of these really, really bad guys, that's a part of that web of darkness that Spirit's been warning us of, attempting to get into the United States illegally recently. And wait till, if you didn't see it already, wait until you see the footage and the nerve this guy had when he was confronted by border control. Wild stuff, friends, wild. It just puts everything right into place. All past predictions. So Governor Abbott, all of a sudden, he seems to care about the border. And now we see much more intense issues breaking out over the Texas border that weren't happening when I made those predictions a few years back. So is Governor Abbott a good guy or is he a bad guy? What do you think? Why is it all of a sudden he's showing concerns about an issue that he ignored for the past 2 years? Is it because it's election season, perhaps? Or is there more behind this whole thing that we may not be completely aware of? So will Texas actually not only fulfill my prediction and visions of a border conflict, but will they also fulfill my vision that I had a few years ago of a star falling off the flag? Well, I actually have no doubt now, and I'm going to tell you why and exactly why I have no doubt. And I'm going to tell you today that I'm going to give you today a whole tsunami wave of warnings and visions that are literally going to help fit many of my past predictions into a much bigger puzzle and a much bigger picture. Today, we're going to put some of those puzzle pieces together. Remember my warnings a while back about bad things happening around popular tourist destinations? Remember my visions of things happening on beaches as well? I saw people being, taken out completely, unalive, shall we say. And Spirit warned us to be mindful when we're visiting popular beach destinations. And we talked about, was it Acapulco? Was that a year or so ago? 2 years, I lose track of time. Time flies so quickly. So many incidents, we've been warned about by Spirit with being mindful of big tourist beach destinations especially. And right now, there's a big alert going on for something similar to that happening in the Bahamas, where many, many folks are being unalived. And Spirit shows me more warnings for tourist destinations today. So if you're traveling, you are not going to want to miss today's episode and what Spirit showed me about certain areas. And if you're new to the show, you'll see as time progresses, we can often put pieces of the prediction puzzle together, or we get more information about it as the time progresses and we approach the time of these things coming into fruition. So in my 2024 predictions, we warned of solar maximum becoming a huge issue that was going to take out some of the power grids, satellites, and radio communications. We're only, 4 weeks into 2023, and already this is coming into fruition. Already, we still got 11 months to go, friends. This just happened with a solar storm that just occurred. And it took out radio communications in both Australia and Indonesia, just as Spirit told us was going to happen. And this is just a sample, Spirit says, of what more is to come in 2024 and why and how we need to be prepared. So I have today a warning about incoming power outages, of course. A top court has ruled that Justin Trudeau, I know how much y'all love Justin Trudeau, and his Dark Angels. Well, a court just ruled that Trudeau and his Dark Angels just broke the law in the actions that they took against the truckers convoy. So, will Trudeau be out soon? Now we have the Take Our Border Back trucker convoy that's now heading towards Texas and across the United States. So what's going to happen to them? Is Biden going to pull a Trudeau and break the law and do something that he shouldn't? Or how's this all going to end up? And what about all the missing truck drivers? That's right, missing truck drivers. Why are truck drivers suddenly going missing? Well, not suddenly, it's been going on for quite a while. But when you look it up, you can't really find much information about it. It's as if the media is sneaking this one away from us. So yeah, lots of truck drivers have gone missing. So when, where, and why? So many interesting topics and new predictions to follow up on and to touch base on today. Again, January 30th, 2024, on episode number 102 of Tuesday's Prediction Update. And y'all know what time it is?
It's tea time, baby!
Satnam, welcome, hola, once again, beautiful friends, beautiful souls. I hope that you're having an amazing day and making the best out of this day that you possibly can. If you're new here, my name's Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT. I welcome you with infinite love and gratitude. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hopefully you'll continue to do so each and every Tuesday as we present top stories in the world and how they relate to past predictions and prophecy, along with new predictions and elaborating on past predictions each and every week. So to keep up with predictions, you got to tune in each and every Tuesday. So I welcome you, and if you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, and I think great content, I hope you think great content as well. And if you do, you found the perfect tribe, baby. Smash that there subscribe. Smash that subscribe, and thank you for showing your love. It takes lots of time and lots of energy and such to put all this content together. So I greatly appreciate you just clicking that thumbs up button and showing your love. It helps to get this information out to others as well. Down below in the description, you'll find the link to my newsletter, which I will have a new newsletter going out in the next couple days. So hurry up and sign up to that baby down below. Hit the link, open up the newsletter. and you'll see at the top where you can subscribe to that newsletter. You can also subscribe by going directly to my website at spiritmanjt.com. That is spiritmanjt.com. Remember, also below you'll find links to all my social media platforms, including TikTok, Don't Rock. I just started putting a lot of video shorts on TikTok, all the platforms actually. Apparently people on Instagram don't like them, but people on TikTok, it's growing. So if you're on TikTok, find me on there. You can also find me on Spotify. You can find me on Rumble. And let's get ready to rumble. And if you missed last week's meditation, which many of you did, not only was it just a meditation, it was a powerful 3 different steps to show you how to allow money to flow into your life and manifest your dreams and desires. So if you missed that video, I will make sure a link pops up right up here above here somewhere. Keep an eye out for it, because that's a powerful manifest. Even if you don't do the meditation, you skip ahead, you're not going to want to miss those 3 steps that can help you to manifest. Really powerful stuff. And it's all part of my Transform into Abundance program, which you can find more information on my website, spiritmanjt.com. So please be sure, if you're on Spotify, TikTok, or any of those platforms, look me up, give me a follow over there. And more importantly, if you get a private message from what appears to be me, from any platform whatsoever, it is not me, I guarantee you. I do not respond. I don't even have time to look at all the private messages on all those different platforms. I don't. The only messages that will come from me is a response to you emailing me directly at my office at josephtittel.com, or preferably directly through my website, spiritmanjt.com. So when you get messages and people trying to attempt to send you private messages, again, it is not me. It is a fraud, a scammer that's already scammed people. And boy, they're going to get their karma for doing that. But some people believe it's me, and then it gives me and others. I'm not the only one here that gets taken advantage of by using our like and creating fake profiles. So again, report those profiles right away to whatever server they're on. And remember, again, I will never send you private messages anywhere on any platform whatsoever. So shall we move on with episode number 102? Wow, 102 episodes. Yes.
Tea time, baby.
How's that song go? This is the dawning of Aquarius. Dawning of Aquarius. Aquarius, Aquarius. You remember that old hippie song from the 60s? Well, first of all, it's almost hard to believe that we are already at the end of the first month of 2024. Our final episode of Tuesday's Tea Time for January. And this month seems to be coming to a close so quickly, don't you agree? This could all teach us something. This could all teach us that time is very valuable, which we should already know. Time flies. So time has actually been accelerating even quicker since, I believe, right around 2012, which would make time even more valuable now than ever. A strong reminder to all of us that we need to value each and every moment of our lives instead of allowing our time to completely slip away. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Tick, tock, tick. But it's true, friends. It's very true. We allow time to tick. And we don't take time or enough time to stop and thank the Lord for all the blessings and miracles in our lives. And now that time's speeding up and accelerating, again, this should teach us all that lesson that we need to value time even more now than ever. Just like parents, and most of them I would think do, but value their time with their kids, knowing that eventually your kids are going to be grown up. And when they become teenagers, most kids don't want nothing to do with their parents. Not all kids, but a lot of them. That, those teenage ankle biter years that they go through. So we got to look back, wondering where did all the time go? And at the same time, instead of wondering where all the time went, wondering how well we celebrated that time and the little bit of time that we have on this planet. Because it's not really that long. Some of us much shorter than others. So the theme of 2024, as you know, is power to the people. And we therefore must also value this time and this year, 2024, as a time to step into our power, That's another meditation I did that you may want to check out. I'll try to remember to put a link up. But calling back your power meditation. Lots of you watched that and everyone had great comments about it. It's a great, powerful meditation. So check that out. But we have to step into our power. We have to start focusing on what we want instead of what we don't want. Now, I don't do that. I worked over a decade not doing that. But I've learned when Spirit taught me over a decade ago that humans focus constantly on what they don't want, what they're afraid is going to happen, instead of what they really, truly want to happen. It's the law of attraction, friends. The law of attraction says that your life and your future is in your own hands, starting with your own thoughts. Remember, your thoughts and words are the blueprints to your future. So start making a point, especially this year more than ever, and now, not even just this year, now. Make it a point that pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to what it is you really want so that you can focus on that, knowing that universe will provide, and at the same time, start to do things now and make decisions that are helping you to relieve and bring down your levels of stress. Remember, stress is the biggest killer. That affects our health and the immune system more than anything. And then followed by that, energy, our emotions, and of course, what we put into our bodies. So find things that you can do to take your mind off of stress or stressful situations. Go for a walk, go to the beach, meditate, whatever you can do to bring down your stress levels. Most importantly, do things and make decisions in your life that are based on your own personal joy and happiness. Because remember, some of our decisions that we make in our lives that are joyful and what we feel is right for us isn't always right for other people and might hurt their feelings or make them angry. But that would be their issue in turn, as long as we're doing things that bring us joy. Like the many people that sit in relationships completely unhappy and too worried about the other person's emotions to leave. So they stay, continue to be unhappy. So focus, friends, this year on your happiness and do things that bring you joy and happiness, because the more we do this, I guarantee you, the more joy and happiness that's going to flow into your life. So Aquarius entered into, Pluto entered into Aquarius on January 20th. I meant to talk about this last week, but I had so much to talk about last week, so I saved it for this week. This is going to affect every zodiac sign, no matter what, because it's going to be there between now and November 9th. So actually, between now and November 19th, Pluto's going to go, it's in Aquarius, but it's going to move back over into Capricorn, and then eventually move back into Aquarius when we reach the point of November 19th. I also remind you of the powerful eclipses we have happening during this time cycle as well. April and then October. And right after that, we go back into Aquarius and stay there for a while. Pluto does. So this means anybody out there who is attempting to maintain their power, this is going to be really interesting. And this would make sense because I didn't know about this alignment until, recently. So my predictions in 2024 are about all these leaders that were going to drop out of power, and how we were going to see a fight for power struggles to keep power or to take over someone's power. Well, that whole Pluto Aquarius thing is exactly that. This means those who attempt to maintain power through political correctness, it's going out the door, friends. Not going to work. This is a time of innovation, a time of being authentic. Your authenticity is going to be the most important, especially leaders and all those people in power. So Aquarius is all about balance. Remember, think of her symbol. Her symbol that represents Aquarius is the goddess or the angel, whatever you want to look at her as. And she has a dark container up here, which is the dark masculine energy. And she's pouring it down into the light feminine energy down below to bring an equal balance onto the planet. And first, the feminine energy will actually rise up and be above the masculine energy until the feminine energy comes in and brings the final balance on the planet when we move into the new Earth. So it's very, very interesting times. And I would say that by the end of that Pluto and Aquarius, we'll definitely be living in a completely new Earth, completely different. The new Earth nation. So that's what she's doing. And, some people believe that we're in the Aquarian age started already. Some would say we just stepped into the Aquarian age, which kind of makes a lot of sense. I mean, we kind of did with Pluto anyway, stepped into the Aquarian age, especially when we reached November 19th. I personally believe That all started to happen when time started to accelerate in 2012. That's what the Mayan Aztec calendar was telling us. They weren't telling us the end of the world. They were telling us the beginning of a new cycle, which began December 22nd, 2012. If we look back to that time period, look how much darkness has come to the surface. Like, look at your own self and the things you didn't believe before that you might have thought were conspiracy that you're on board with, that you know has been a lie, right? So it's been happening. Humanity has definitely awakened on a completely different level since 2012. And it all started right around that time period. So I don't know what the planets were. I know all the planets aligned on that day, December 21st, 2012. So now whether it started then, because I say that would be making the most sense when the Aquarian age would start, because the Mayan Aztecs say it. And their calendar is so many thousands of years before it restarts. Makes complete sense. And again, look at the struggles with politicians and countries and everything, and all the prophecies that are coming into fruition that happen, all the way down to the Euphrates River drying up, friends. That's just insane. Never happened before. It's going to dry up even more this year, Spirit just said. Hold on tight. It's going to really dry up this year. Interesting. And remember, I talked about fights over the water and water wars. So, again, Aquarius is all about balance. It's all about bringing in the feminine energy, bringing balance back to the earth. And this by no means is going to be easy, friends. By the way, by no means. It's going to be a huge challenge for the world, for humanity, and for all of us on an individual level. But again, the outcome is going to be when we step into the new earth. When all of humanity comes together in pure love, because that's what the good Lord upstairs is going to force us to do. And hallelujah to that. So, some could, again, say we entered that Aquarian age. I want to know what you think in the comments below, as always. But no matter what, again, things are going to be unimaginable. Things are going to change in unimaginable ways. So, regardless... and regardless of anything, we're definitely in an age. Call it what you want. We're definitely in an age, and everything as we know it's going to change between now and 2032. Remember, Spirit told me back in 2016, showed me the time period of 2025 to 2032. 2025 is a 9-year numerology. That's the end of everything. And remember in my January predictions for this year, not January, but 2024 predictions, we talked about 2024 to 2026, everything changing. Because 2025 is a 9-year, that's the end of the cycle. 2026, we start all over again. So 2025, the 9-year, 2032 would be a 7-year. That period between 2025 and 2032 is 7 years. That's why I deem that the 7 years of tribulation. People think we're in it now. No, definitely not now. Definitely not now. And it kind of feels and seems like we're definitely heading into it in the near future. And I'm not saying that Spirit told me that was tribulation. No, Spirit told me specifically that would be the most challenging time period on the earth to humanity. Into the earth as she shifts and her poles shift. So, going to be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And it all really already began. So let's move on to United States, Texas, and the fall of the Lone Star State. Starting with United States, of course. Could United States be Babylon from the prophecy of the Holy Bible, where the Bible says Babylon will fall in Bible prophecy? Just that thought popped in my brain today. Just about every American can feel something huge is coming. And we've been feeling this for quite some time, friends. Quite some time. So, what exactly could it be? What exactly could it be that we're feeling? Well, just about every American and even foreign people in different countries with half a brain, any of them with half a brain, know that our countries, not just United States, but our countries, and I say many of them, are being invaded in many different ways, not just because of people coming over the border, but it's been invaded from the inside in some way or some form. This is a very long and a very well orchestrated plan, without a doubt. A very long and well orchestrated plan, and the friends, not that they're our friends, but the friends at United Nations, WEF, China, and the evildoers, all combined in that web of darkness, have written. They even written about it in books, friends. They even written about this plan in books. Invade the countries. I forget. We talked about it on there. What was his name? They say he's Illuminati. I can't think of his name at the top of my head. But he wrote about it. And everything he wrote about is exactly what they're doing. So I've been warning you, Spirit has as well, about United Nations being set on a foundation of evil with the goal of a world order, whether people believe it or not. We've seen many people say it, including Old Man Bush. They want to create this world order that is a dystopian planet where they are in control. And remember, all those things that people thought were conspiracy came out to be true. So don't go yelling conspiracy right away, because you might be, eating crow, realizing that you were wrong all along. Again, they write it in books, friends. We know that this is the plan. So, and this plan is backed by the most richest families in the world that control it all. But Spirit does say they will fail. And I assure you, without a doubt, they will fail. And now evidence of their failure is finally starting to leak out. Did you hear this one? 12 United Nations members have been detected having a big hand in the Hamas attack on Israel back in October. United Nations? Big hand? And that, remember what Spirit told us too. So they're saying that these United Nations members have a hand in the, unaliving so many innocent people in Israel. Something that we know United Nations has been for decades doing to countries and doing things behind our backs. We know they've done it in Africa, parts of Africa. And we have enough proof now to show that there is evil residing within the UN. These are the claims made by Israel. And I must say, I 100% believe Israel in this case, 100%. And remember what Spirit told us months prior to that actually happening. In my prediction, Spirit said there was a plan being orchestrated from behind Israel's walls to invade Israel. That is in my past predictions. And months later, it happened on that dreaded day of October, 7th? So, Spirit said orchestrate it. And now Israel is saying it was 12 UN aid workers who participated in the attacks. In a dossier provided last week to the United States government, Israel accused a dozen employees of United Nations Relief and Works Agency in participating in the October 7th attacks. That left an estimated 1,200 unalived. On Friday, the UN said that it had several employees in response to the allegations. Fired several. Fired? Shouldn't they be locked up? What do you mean you just fired them? Or did you just move them like the church likes to do to, the bad priest? Just move them. Don't reprimand them. Just move them. Hide them somewhere else. Is that what they're doing? No doubt, friends. No doubt. They didn't fire them. Guaranteed they didn't fire them. They just moved them somewhere else. Or they'll use them somewhere else. Pay for it all, and it'll all be down to everybody's tax dollars that fund the UN. Crazy, friends. It's just crazy to me. Crazy. So again, we now have allegations by Israel that basically confirm the evil being orchestrated by the UN. And I take you back to that speech that Old Man Bush said way back. I've played the clip many times on this show. Together we will forge a new NWO. He says it very clearly in the video. I've told you many, many times that the entire issue with the immigrants, not just raiding the United States, but France, the UK, and others, has all been very, very well orchestrated by the UN in their little web of darkness. Believe you me. That's what the Spirit say. Spirit also shows me that they're also behind the planned attack to take down America. The UN and two divisions. Spirit showed me that the UN's divided in basically two divisions, probably like everything. The controlling evil division, which is the top division, and the others, they're just the puppets who absolutely are clueless to the actions of the top level. Or at least they turn a blind eye to it. Perhaps both. But I also know that you likely recall my visions a few years ago of a star falling off the American flag. That was a couple years ago. Remember, some predictions take 3 years or 2 to 4 years to come true. It was 2017 that I saw people wearing masks and talked about a massive outbreak. It happened 3 years later. So we're about 2 years, I think, past the prediction of me seeing the star falling off the flag, if you recall. And we all tried to interpret it together, if you remember. We all tried to interpret, and you all left comments. Many people thought it was going to be Alaska being invaded by China, which was maybe my first thought as well. But I wasn't sure. Spirit don't tell me. I don't know. I just analyze like you do. And some of the visions we have to analyze together. So, and folks came up with a few other different reasons that they believed it could have been in my vision. But now that time's passed, it seems to point very clearly and directly to the state of Texas. So think about this, friends, because this is really, really interesting. And I can't believe nobody said this until now. Someone just told me in the comments last week, and thank you for leaving me that comment. I forget where it was. I'm pretty sure it was on YouTube. But it could have been in one of the short videos that I posted, because I posted like 24 of them over the past weekend. So Texas, what is Texas known as? The Lone Star State. I'm like, geez, why did we not think of that before? The Lone Star State. You think there's any coincidence there? Come on. It's very interesting, which is even more interesting about this, is that Texas did not officially claim that nickname, the Lone Star State, until 2015. Who was president then, friends? So, was this an orchestrated plan even before it was declared the Lone Star State? As you know, there is absolutely no coincidences whatsoever. 2015, they called it the Lone Star State. When Obama was president. Things that make you go, right? Things that make you go, what, da. I almost said it. Oh my, I would have cussed on live. So, did you know that there are currently more immigrants, this is creepy, more immigrants coming into the United States than there are Americans having babies? Now, that's a scary thought. Even creepier is this recent video that went viral of illegals being stopped at the border in somewhat of a vicious response that this illegal gave to the border patrol agents. Really creepy. If you didn't see it, well, now you're going to see it, but check it out.
By the way, if you are smart enough, you would know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am. Very easy.
Wow, very easy. The entitlement.
No, believe me, I'm much better than that.
The entitlement, guys.
You
Wow.
will see soon.
Now, what do you think of that, friends? This brings so much more clarity. Not that any of us really needed the clarity, but it brings so much clarity to Spirit's warning over a year ago that there was a dark, sinister plan to attack America from the inside. And that was actually maybe 2 years ago that Spirit told us that. Just like Israel experiences with the insiders, what happened with them, with the UN officials. Not only putting sleeper cells into place, but sadly, many of these politicians, both Democrats and Republicans, their evil does not discriminate. They have sold their souls, as we know. And they sold their souls to the UN, to China, and to WEF. The W and the E and the F. Yes. So, stick with me because I'm going to put all these puzzle pieces together, friends. Putting these puzzle pieces together, creating a vision of what I strongly feel is going to be the case in our near future. Over between now and, say, 2032. You are all smart enough to know who I am, he demands with his arrogance and his very bad negative vibes, I must say. But do we know who he is? Well, we know who he is now, and this speaks very highly when it comes to Spirit's warnings and predictions. Check it out.
Really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am. Very easy.
Wow, very easy. The entitlement.
No, believe me, I'm much better than that.
The entitlement, guys.
You
Wow.
will see soon.
That right there, friends, is a straight up TERRORIST. Totally 100%. I mean, he was in jail for 12 years. Just got out. He was just released after 12 years of imprisonment. And you cannot tell me at all that he does not come here without a plan. He comes here with a plan, not only a plan of backing, but who exactly is backing him, friends? The UN globalists, perhaps? or likely, very likely. This all leads to putting the pieces together, by the way. Moving on next to the trucker convoy. I'll get back to the rest in a moment. So a top court in Canada just ruled that Trudeau broke the law when him and his Dark Angels invoked that emergency act against the truckers, stole all their money, made people go bankrupt. Federal court finds Emergencies Act of Freedom Convoy violated charter. The federal court has ruled the Trudeau's government decision to invoke the Emergency Act during the so-called Freedom Convoy that descended on Ottawa in 2022 violated the Charter of Rights and Freedom. Yeah, you darn right well it did. 100%. I even remember having people in the comments saying, oh, well, they needed to be done. Whatever. So, in this ruling, Justice Richard Mosley said that the move was unreasonable, very unreasonable, wouldn't you say, and outside the scope of the law. But these guys, these new leaders, they can break the law. They can do whatever they want. They can filter money to the big guy, right? Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about with that one. Let's move on from that. Because I know people are asking right now, well, when's Justin Trudeau going to be gone? When are we going to get rid of Mr. Justin Trudeau? Well, if you're asking that question, you don't watch every Tuesday. Or you could be new to the channel, and if you're new to the tribe, we welcome you with infinite love and gratitude. At the same time, again, you may not know. I've talked about it many times, for years actually. Spirit told us last year that Trudeau would be forced to resign in 2024, and that was early last year. It's now 2024. Not only that, little Justin Trudeau is in his 9 personal year in numerology. And the 9 is the end of the road. It's the end of the cycle. It would make complete sense. He may linger. Spirit says he may linger like a fly that can't be smushed. But eventually, that fly trap is going to catch him. And he's going to be stuck to that fly trap, trying to pull himself free, according to Spirit. Team Spirit. Did you meet Spirit? My friends, Spirit, Team Spirit. So Spirit told us last year that Trudeau would be forced to resign. So, it's coming. Without a doubt, it's coming. This is a 9 year. I don't know anything about politics over there. I don't even really follow politics here, but I don't know when his reign is up. But he might be out before his reign's up if his reign's not up this year. It's going to be up. It's his 9. At the latest, early January, February 2025. But no, it's this year. Remember the prediction that Spirit said, so many will drop from power. And it will be due to shocking truths being revealed and different things. So we'll see how that plays out for Mr. Trudeau. I know lots of Canada, actually every Canadian I know can't wait till he's gone. So, and I know a lot of Canadians. So now we have the Take Our Borders Back convoy, trucker convoy, that's heading to Texas from Virginia and across to California, which is likely, what the globalists want. And they're going to use this, if they can, as a way to ignite conflict along the Texas border, purposely to cause a divide and some type of conflict, raw backwards between the states. Remember, I predicted last year that there would be a fight between states, and that one state would drop again the flag, the star falling off the flag. It makes so much more sense now that it's Texas. Especially knowing now that it's the Lone Star State. Of course. So, is Abbott going to be responsible for that? Because he is, I got to remind you, Abbott is a big member and supporter. You can look on their website of the W, the E, and the F, WEF. And again, you can go on their website and see all their big supporters and all on there. Just go on there. He's on there. And he's friends with the W. Him and Klaus Schwab are good buddies. So when he's doing something that looks good, don't believe it's so much good. Just saying. So they're heading towards Texas along the border, and the Texas sheriffs have already put out a warning to these truckers to stay out of their state. But why? I thought Abbott was all about helping the border. Why do you not want them in your state? And it wasn't even him saying it, was the sheriff's department that said it. And we thought the Governor Abbott was supposed to be a good guy now, don't we? Well, I never did, but some people do. So does he not need the help Does he not have desire for them to come and give him the support that the Americans want to, Americans were about support and getting that support. You don't want it? Of course not. Just like the truckers in Canada. They're being called radical, activists. MAGA activists is what they're being referred to already. They haven't even just taken off. We can't say anything about them. And if you watch the guy that's doing this whole thing, in the advertisements, even have advertisements for it, it's all about peace. He says it. He pushes peace, peace. All we all saying is give peace a chance. That's all we're saying, friends. So, is this their plan? Is this their plan?
Stops heading to Jacksonville, Florida, then Louisiana, then to some of the hot spots regarding migrant crossings, including Eagle Pass, Texas, Yuma, Arizona, and San Ysidro, California, where they plan to hold rallies this upcoming Saturday. This all comes ahead of a big week dealing with the border crisis issue. Tomorrow, House Republicans plan to mark up 2 articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. They accuse Mayorkas of failing to manage the border and say he is guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors. The articles of impeachment describe Mayorkas as failing to enforce U.S. immigration policies at the border and disregarding laws passed by Congress, as well as breaching public trust. House Speaker Mike Johnson has vowed to hold a vote as soon as possible, but it's, we will note, even if the House ends up impeaching Mayorkas, it remains very unlikely that the Senate, controlled by Democrats, would convict him in a trial.
So again, suddenly Abbott cares, and suddenly they want to impeach Morales or Maracus or however you say that guy's name, who happens to be, I look up his numbers, he happens to be in his 7-year numerology. And that's all about spiritual ascension. Doesn't necessarily indicate anything with ends like Justin Trudeau's number 9. But at the same time, the month of February for Maracus is a 9 vibration for him. And this is all coming up right now at the end of January to impeach this guy. So yeah, there's a very strong potential of this, no doubt, because he's going in his 9 month. 7 year is about big physical moves too. So yeah, big physical move for him out of office, where he needs to be, out. But why again all of a sudden? Why? Well, remember again, it's election season, and you got to blame others for the events that are occurring under your own watch. So we got to blame somebody. And remember, right wing, left wing, same bird, baby. Same bird. Not that there aren't good in both parties. There is. But as far as controlling, it's the same bird. Both one wing and the other wing. Doesn't matter. I've been telling you that for years. Decades now, actually. Over a decade. Wow, time flies. So, blame others. And then, you got to bring in all the immigrants so you get votes. Got to do that. Got to make sure. And if you look at, well, I'm not even going to go. Let me move on because I don't want to run out of time blabbling. So what will happen to the truckers? The take the border back truckers. Of course, they're going to be demonized by Abbott and California's Newsom when they get to California. That's not going to be good for them. I think they're going to have more problems in California than they do in Texas. And California is the last leg of their journey, according, you saw where their journey is ending up. So the media will demonize them, calling the entire operation a mess. And even the White House, Spirit shows me, is planning an invasion of military if the truckers get too much attention. And they're going to pull media out of there not to cover it. Spirit just said that. That's not in any notes. They're going to pull media out of there to purposely not cover it when it's peaceful. They'll cover it if it doesn't be peaceful. So Spirit warns all of the truckers, all those people that are supporting this movement, being very mindful and very, very mindful, because not only being mindful, but they're going to put counter protesters in there. You got to watch for counter protesters being put into place to disrupt this peaceful movement. We know that with Soros, isn't that his name? That man's got, and they say his son's worse, by the way. And George is on his way out soon, so his son's going to take over, and that's worse. Could you imagine there's worse than Georgie? Well, Spirit says there is. So they're going to be put into place to disrupt any peaceful movement that they can. This convoy may start off small, but Spirit says it's going to grow to an enormous size, especially when it gets probably to California. Many are going to join in as they're going across. America needs to be an influence on the world right now because we saw the trucker convoy in Canada and what Trudeau did to that. But we saw in Norway, was it Norway? No, Norway, where the farmers, demanded and did their convoy. Now, last week or last few weeks, Germany, the farmers are having their convoy in Germany. So now it's America's turn to be the influence. The country that represents freedom, standing in, stepping up, stepping into our power to the people, friends. Remember all those things that Spirit said for 2024 predictions, power to the people. So this is just one of many other big movements that are going to form from this small movement that's just now starting, according to Spirit. So America needs to be the influence. If Canada can be an influence, let America be the next influence. Holland, not Norway, Holland. I'm sorry, Holland. Just popped in my brain. So we need to be the better, show the world that we're stepping into our power. So could truckers stepping up for our freedoms be behind the large amount of missing truckers? That's right. Missing truckers, friends. There's apparently a large amount of truck drivers here in the United States, Canada, and of course Mexico that have suddenly disappeared, or some showing up unalived. Like that. So sadly, it's hard to find any articles on this, of course, because the media isn't talking about this issue. I did find one truck driver in Iowa missing. I found many actually in Mexico turned up unalived. So why all of a sudden are dozens of truck drivers gone missing over the past year? So why exactly? Well, I tapped into it and Spirit shows me that there is multiple reasons actually. Not all related to one another. So some of them are separate incidents. Although a series of them are very highly related to one another and somehow connected to the cartel and the deep underground government, of course. Remember, I made a prediction years ago that truck drivers would be at a high risk of being robbed and unalived. Well, sadly, we are going to begin to hear media coverage stories of such incidents happening, not just of missing or unalived truck drivers, but missing trailers and missing freight being taken. Now, this is happening in other countries already, but this is going to become something that we're going to start seeing on the media. They're going to have to cover it because it's going to be too common. And the theft of trucks and the goods that they carry. It's all about what they're carrying in these trucks. Something, that's going to be a huge concern. And, remember, too, the cartel globally this is all organized. It's all organized crime that they're going to find big profits in stealing trucks that are carrying alcohol, tobacco, electronics, and some high-end food trucks. You're carrying high-end food, like I say beef or what have you. So our friends that drive trucks out there, please be extremely mindful. And of course, carry a pow-pow and make sure you're protected. And they always catch you when you're off guard. Don't be off guard, even at truck stops, because that's probably where they're going to really go for people at the truck stops. And speaking of alcohol, and I meant to put this in my notes, and someone put it, and actually I didn't put it in my notes at all. Someone mentioned it, and it just popped in my brain. Remember I said there would be shortages on alcohol, which is already happening. But I also said this would lead eventually to a ban on alcohol. So that popped up. Someone mentioned something with shortages. I forget what it was. I didn't save the link. I should have, and I apologize. I did not. So that's happening. We already knew about the tequila because if you remember, I told you to go out and buy high-end tequila and put it in your closet and save it because it'll be worth a lot of money, and now it's worth a lot of money, actually. So that's another good call. But I think the tequila might come out of that shortage a little bit this year. I think they'll have a better season is what I'm feeling. But aside from that, again, a ban on alcohol. It's coming. So first, make it hard, cause shortages with alcohol, cause shortages with food, make you dependent on what they want, and then eventually ban alcohol. Oh, well, there's shortages. People are fighting over it. We have to ban it. We have to bring back prohibition. Not necessarily United States, again, but other countries. We're going to start seeing this. And there are some countries that do that already. I forget which one. Isn't it? What country's totally dry? Is it Saudi Arabia? Maybe a couple of them. I'm not sure. I'm sure someone will say it in the comments. So this takes me to the cartel wars and the fall of the cartel. Yes, I said it. The fall of the cartel. The cartel is literally, friends, taking over the world. We know it. The cartel is so weaved into that web of darkness that controls pretty much everything and everyone within that web. So the cartel have been very brave lately, invading places like Ecuador. I think I showed you that footage, or we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. And they've totally infiltrated the United States from the inside. Just imagine all these three-letter agencies, and you know them, 3 letters, just like JFK spoke about the 3-letter agencies, and politicians that the cartel literally owns, and judges. Spirits, don't forget the judges. You guys are funny. Don't forget the judges, they say. Which also leads to the cops and law enforcement and so many others. So, do they own Governor Abbott as well? Perhaps they do. I know the WEF does. They sold their souls to the WEF and the United Nations, many of them. Abbott would be one of them. And perhaps, they fell behind on their payments to Abbott. Maybe they fell behind. Cartel forgot a payment towards him. And more likely, though, it's a part of a very well orchestrated plan, as I said, to intentionally piss off Americans. They're doing a really good job at it, to the point of bringing about conflict. Of course, they want a civil conflict, which is potentially possible. But even if that does happen, and when that does happen in 2025, 2026, Spirit just said, it has to happen in order to bring resolution and bring the peace in the new earth in the future. Always remember that. Always remember me saying that in the back of your mind. When things get crazy, because people think it's crazy now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Crazy means every country. Remember what even the Bible says in prophecy, every nation against every nation. That'll happen first. And, it's interesting because today Spirit was telling me, China and Russia have this, so-called agreement with other Middle Eastern countries as this invasion to, infiltrate the United States from the inside. But somehow or another, Russia's going to back off that offer. Russia's going to lie about it or back off. I think they're going to realize the consequences, and that's why they're going to back off. And I think they're going to back off in the middle of it all. When they activate these sleeper cells and they activate all this craziness, they're going to back out in the middle of it, which is going to, again, bring a division between China and Russia, which needs to happen as well. A division, but again, a uniting of all in the end of it all. And there's a lot that's got to happen before that. And a lot can happen between now and 2032, friends. It's only 8 years. Lots of things can happen. So, yeah, they like to piss off Americans. It seems like they like to do that a lot lately. So we see this conflict ignited by the cartel in Ecuador. And we saw that in Mexico, in 2022? Remember the big cartel wars? I remember talking about it. And it won't be long before they move to the Texas border. And not just Texas, Arizona border, as they already have, Spirit said, they already have the cartel, their chess pieces set up for the match. They already have them set up in the United States. Not just United States, Puerto Rico and Canada. So they plan on doing a takeover in Puerto Rico too. Our friends out there in Puerto Rico. So let's put the pieces together. We put a lot of them together already, but let's put some of the pieces in my past prediction, along with some new information to predict what's really going to happen. So Spirit shows me that the cartel and China, again, are weaved together in some type of a web of darkness. Hence the fentanyl crisis. Not the cartel in China. The fentanyl crisis, which was purposely orchestrated to take out mostly young Americans. And or to keep them so doped up. Why? Well, basically, the less younger Americans there are, or the less that are all doped up, the more that are all doped up, the less that can fight in the movement when these cells are activated in 2025 and 2026. So there is a potential. This could even happen sooner, Spirit said. Right before, during, or right after the United States elections in November. Remember, Spirit told us earlier this year that things are in the air. A lot of stuff's still in the air. And lots of things are going to happen and need to happen in order to shift into the best light that we can possibly shift into to save our country and the world, hopefully in some form. So I remind you of there's 2 huge eclipses that are coming during eclipse season in 2024, starting with the first one in April. That one in April, remember, completes the X over United States, and the point of that X, the very X, the spot of the X marks the spot, is Texas, northern Texas, but it's still Texas. So isn't that kind of interesting? So this makes me feel, again, and without a doubt, that Texas somehow is going to become the Lone Star State that they declared back in 2015, dropping a star off the American flag, as I said 2 to 3 years ago. So this would be putting those pieces together for my prediction of United States, also the prediction of the United States breaking up into 4 pieces or into 4 different unions or separate unions. So as Spirit showed us in the past, if you recall. So let me stress to you that it will not just be the United States that's attacked by these spiders that weave that web of darkness. I saw visions, if you recall, in my channeled predictions of large explosions happening in a combination of several different places all at once, simultaneously. Not only just in one country, France was the one I pinpointed, and Paris, lots of chaos in Paris. Remember, I even talked about martial law being called in many places. Paris would be one of them. I wouldn't doubt that Texas, of course, will be another one eventually. Maybe soon, in the near future, or at least state of emergency for sure. I don't know what would declare the difference between the two. So Spirit showed me something new and that I didn't get before. And this has to do with a feeling that Australia and Canada is being pulled into this as well. China wants more control of the entire world, of course, but especially Australia. There's something in Australia that the Chinese CCP strongly want control of. I'm not sure what that is. I mean, probably resources, of course. Maybe cobalt. I don't know. Whatever it is. And I don't think everybody, what Spirit makes me feel is not, they know whatever's there that they're trying to seek. Of course, they know because they're trying to seek it, but not everyone else is aware of it. So maybe they have a technology that made a discovery that they're not letting anybody else onto. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So, but it's not just the United States, friend. The United Nations and the WEF are very weaved into this web of darkness, as you should know, along with some of the Middle Eastern radicals that are all paid and backed by the same organizations. So I showed you a clip of one of those really bad guys coming across the border in the United States with his attitude problem. And I bet you he's in the United States right now, running free. They probably gave him a hotel room, gave him food, and even a Visa card with $500 on it like they give all the rest, while our homeless veterans are suffering on the streets with no help at all. And perhaps that's another part of their plan. Keep the veterans struggling and homeless on purpose. Because veterans are, they're strong SOBs, man. They will fight back. They have the strength to fight back because they have they were taught. They have the teachings. They have it. It's another thing they fear. So are they doing that to the veterans on purpose? Kind of seems that way, doesn't it? Kind of seems that way. So prayers, hold all our veterans in light and help whenever you can. Spirit says that this is actually a plan of God's. God's plan. In order to reveal truth and awaken humanity on much larger levels, unfortunately, bad things need to happen. Not all God's plan, not all of it, but again, God's overall plan is to bring peace on earth. So I'm told this is the only way, according to Spirit, aside from the coming massive shifts that are going to happen and are happening with the Earth's tectonic plates and weather-related disasters. So yes, it's going to be a huge, challenging time for Americans and the entire globe, as this is also going to bring about the food shortages that I talked about in big cities. Food shortages that Spirit's been warning us to stock up since back in 2020. So Chicago is one of those cities. Chicago, along with New York City and, of course, Los Angeles. And even somewhere within Tennessee, of course, the heartland. They're going to disrupt the heartland. They want to do that on purpose. They're picking the wrong people to pick on. Because let me tell you, those people in the heartland are going to bring out their bang-bangs. Yeah, they'll take out those infiltrators real fast now, won't they? But that's what they're doing. They already have these cells. And I think Chicago is going to be the first on their list. They're also in Philadelphia, Spirit said. They're also in Philadelphia. So the big cities. And that might be why Spirit told me way back when I lived in Pennsylvania to get off the East Coast, get out of there. Maybe it wasn't necessarily because of great tsunamis. Besides, it'd be almost impossible for a tsunami to hit where I lived in Pennsylvania. If it did, the whole planet be gone anyway. It wouldn't matter. So it just wouldn't matter. So now that I thought about that more, maybe that's why I was really close. I was between Philadelphia and New York, close right outside of Philadelphia, actually. So big cities. So this is why it's important that you are able to bunker down in your home by having enough food and water always, because now we even know even more of a reason why to stock up. Not just because of potential disaster, you never know where Mother Nature's going to hit, but now we know. Everybody feels something big is going to happen, and that's what this big is. This is infiltrating our own country and trying to disrupt the entire country. Between two things, they're going to try to do this with the elections and bring about conflict between the people, and then they're also going to use it as a way to attack America. They might all both happen at the same exact time, actually, because I see chaos on the streets in the cities in the future, not just again American cities either. I even see chaos in Sydney, Australia. I don't know what that's about. I just got that vision right now. See, that's why I got to watch every week. Things just pop up and Spirit just throws visions in front of me. So the big cities are what shall be hit by these when the presidencies shift, is what Spirit said, right around that time period. So that could also be January. That would make even more sense, 2025 to 2032. 2025 when the new president takes over. Who we already know if they don't take them out, it's going to be DT. So, but Spirit says to give everyone a little hope here today in knowing that, yes, again, this is going to be a challenging time, especially for those that are unaware and unprepared, and there's a lot of them. But the light warriors are going to win in the end. The light warriors are going to win, and this is going to bring major changes to the entire globe that need to happen. World War III is not the same as past wars, according to Spirit. This war actually already began happening in 2020 with the attack on humanity. That's what Spirit told me today. So the plan to do so has been in place for decades. People will catch on to the evil within the walls of United Nations. It's already coming out with what Israel says, but not everybody believes Israel. So it's got to come out from different sources. We got to see the corruption within there from many different angles. And it's going to become more clear to the masses that NATO is nothing more than Satan's army backed by and paid for and deployed by the United Nations. So people will go through many levels of shock therapy treatments, is what Spirit referred to it as. Humanity is going to go through shock therapy treatments of truth being revealed. Those that they support, and those that support the web of darkness, well, they're going to be flung off the web one spider at a time. And many are going to resist when all this comes out. Of course, there's always going to be those. I tell you all the time, do not try to awaken your family or your friends. There's nothing you're going to do to awaken them. If you put stuff in front of them and they're resistant, they're always going to be that way. And the more you do so, the more resistant they're going to be because people are very stubborn. It's going to take something big to awaken them on their own level. And some, sadly, aren't going to awaken at all. But the light's going to reign at the end of it all. Truth being exposed, bribes, arrests, and KERRI Lake. So, well, there have not been really any juicy arrests that we know of lately. Remember my visions of past arrests and shocking arrests and so forth. So I assure you they're going to come in the near future, though. A tsunami wave of truth as the planet Pluto moves into Aquarius, back to Capricorn, and back to Aquarius again. That whole time period where it moves back and forth, which is now through November 19th, is going to be intense, friends. Intense. It's going to be wild. It's going to be fun, too. It's going to be really fun to watch the truth come out and be like, see, I told you so. Right? You'll be able to say that to some people in the future. They say, I told you that was a bad guy. I told you they were evil. I told you they worshiped the dark gods. So, yeah. So a wave of truth during this time period of the Pluto Aquarius things. And this will keep us very entertained, to say the least, especially during the upcoming following elections in the United States. But remember, there's 42 countries this year having elections that are important, which makes sense to so many dropping out of power. We just got to hold in the light that WEF puppets don't end up in power. That's important. So did one of these truths just leak out from the pipeline? Because Spirit shows me a pipe leaking. Drip, drip, drip. You guys are funny today. Drip, drip, drip. And then I see the pipe just blow. Like this whole wave of truth being splashed on us. So, KERRI Lake. Bribery. Proof. Is it true? With Jeff Duet, who put... my question is, who put Duet up to this? The cartel, perhaps? And I'm not going to play the video or audio here because it might even be copyrighted. You all probably heard the audio. That audio to me is no doubt legitimate, real audio. And even in that video, she kind of chuckles about it when she says, well, they're going to try to have me unalived. She says on there that they're going to try to have me unalive. That's not exactly what she says, but you get the point here. So, yeah, she probably should fear for her life. And we know that they took things from her, if you know what I mean. No doubt. And again, right wing, left wing, same bird, but there are still good within those parties. So that's where we got to find the good. So she says on the recording, they're going to have me taken out. That's kind of scary thought, right? Especially now that this was released. But why now? Over a year later. Well, she did mention on stage about a year ago, some point last year, she mentioned on stage something about somebody trying to bribe her. She did say it. But who leaked this? Because I don't feel it was her that leaked it. I feel like somebody within her staff leaked it. And she found out after they leaked it. So we'll have to see if she fires anybody in the near future within her staff or breaks ties with somebody from her staff. And how did they, I want to know the details. Like, how did it get released? How exactly? And again, by who? And why now? Why not then? She mentioned it on stage, so she definitely mentioned it. So some folks, believe this audio is fake. What do you think? Do you think it's fake? Remember what Spirit warned us in the past 6 months that, or maybe in January's predictions, I don't remember, for the year, that artificial intelligence was going to become a big deception and that politicians were going to use it as an excuse to get out of situations like this. So could Duet use that as his excuse? Oh, that's artificial intelligence that never happened. We'll see what he says. I don't know if he said anything about it, but it would make sense what Spirit said. And if not this situation, we're going to see it in other situations. Perhaps she didn't, and perhaps Lake didn't want to throw the guy under the bus, Duet. Maybe that's why she held back on it and didn't release it. Maybe she feared for her life. I mean, that's definitely a plausible explanation, sure, without a doubt. There's also, the potential that someone else released it. That has nothing to do with her releasing it, which is probably likely the case in my feeling. So if it is real, and I do believe it is real, I have no doubt it is actually, this is actually illegal. This, friends, is illegal. It's interference, it's extortion, it's bribery, and a whole bunch more. So what's going to happen? Because these people do all this all the time and they get away with it. Now there's an audio recording. I think he'll slide by the skin of his teeth, Duet. But, remember what I said in the past with people being taken out of power and people being arrested and shocking things. It would be it wouldn't be so shocking if he was arrested now. What would be shocking is if there was an arrest of whoever got him to go in and bribe her. That's what we want to know. Forget about him. he's just a puppet like the rest of them. We want to know who the puppeteer is. That's what I want to know. So the guy is, she didn't throw him under the bus. We know it's bribery. So it's going to be interesting. Is this all just a scheme, though? Some people believe that, too. That it's all just a scheme for KERRI to be DT's VP. DT's VP. That was kind of funny. I laughed. DT's VP. So remember what I said. And I don't know what nationality Lake is, but I said a couple years ago that he would pick a female as his running mate. And that I could have swear, don't quote me, I believe I said also that she would have a darker skin complexion. And Lake does have a little bit of a darker skin complexion. I don't know what nationality she is. Spirit didn't tell us a nationality. Could be somebody that lives out in the sun all the time. I don't know. I just tell you what Spirit tells me. So I do remind you that Spirit warned us to be very mindful of 2024 and politicians, again, using that excuse that it's fake AI in order to break and debunk others and cover up their own big mistakes. So again, will they use this as an excuse with KERRI Lake's audio? Of course, they're going to try to cover it up or make it look like it's no big deal. But I want to know, again, what you think in the comments below. And please be mindful. This is not a political debate. It's just a question as whether you think it's real or whether it's fake. I also believe that KERRI Lake, very well, could very strongly, potentially be the first female president of the United States in the future. Perhaps by 2032 or the year 2032. 2032, remember, we do step into the new Earth nation, and therefore, it would make so much more sense that a woman would be in charge. Think of the Aquarian symbol. Again, her pouring the dark masculine energy down into the light feminine energy. Men have been controlling everything on this planet for way too long. They control the banking system. They control the stock exchange. They control the government. They control politics, and they even control the darn church, right? They control it. So the church is all controlled by men, and all of it is. And that's about to change, says the spirits. A good spiritually grounded female, in my opinion, who is not afraid of the spiders who weave that web of darkness, like the cartel and the cabal. Somebody that's just not afraid of that. And a female who's spiritually grounded and strong, and not part of the left or the right. Which brings me to the next thing. I'll tell you that in a moment, actually. Do not be surprised, too, that you see the Catholic Church start allowing women to be priestesses. I guess we would call them priestesses, wouldn't we? As they should have been able to be all along. It's supposed to be a combination of the balance of masculine and feminine. But again, the men took over the whole church. So, and I know other religions, they do have female reverends and such, yes. Especially Unitarian churches, which I used to do a lot of events at a Unitarian church in Pennsylvania. I've been to several different Unitarian churches. They're very into the medium thing. So, but I'm talking mainly the Catholic Church. You don't see no women up there giving services. But you will in the future. And it's going to be shocking. And it'll probably be when the next pope comes in, which I thought that the church would fall from this pope. But we still got time to see. We'll have to see. Fall and be rebuilt in a new structure, which again would be balancing. Everything has to collapse in order for something new and balanced to go into place. So also we can move forward onto the new Earth nation. We couldn't move on to the new Earth nation with our current divide between left wing, right wing, and Republicans and Democrats. A divide isn't going to work on the new Earth. So remember, Spirit told us several years ago that a new party was going to form. Remember that? Spirit reminded me of that today. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. That was a while ago. A new party will form. And it might have been in last year's yearly predictions, but I don't recall. If any of you recall, do let us know in the comments below. But I said that there would be a new party that was going to form. So if it's not this coming election, then I'd say definitely the 2028 and the 2032 at the latest elections will be this new party that forms. It's going to be a new party that's going to take Americans' hearts and positive control of our country. And that's what we need. Those two parties need to go. There needs to be just one unity party. All is one. Not the Green Party either. It's something completely new that really does have a feminine-based or feminine-grounded energy to it. That's my feeling. So at the latest, again, 2032. A new party that's going to take, again, Americans' hearts and positive control that we need to be taken over our country and spread that through to other countries as well. That's important. Be the influence. As Buddha says, be the change you wish to see in the world. So the new party feels to me to, again, be very feminine, balanced. Exactly what the world needs to eliminate the dark masculine control that only brings us conflict after conflict, because let's say that masculine energy sure loves conflict, don't they? While taking our hard-earned money from us and sending it to other countries instead of actually using it to help our own country to be the amazing country that it's meant to be and will be again in the future. Let's move on. So that's what I believe, to sum it up, that KERRI Lake could potentially end up being the first female president in the future. It's also even more potentially possible that Trump chooses her as the VP and then Trump passes away in his second term. As Spirit told us back in 2016, Trump would serve 2 terms and would die in the 3rd year of his second term. So that would make a whole lot of sense. He's getting up there in age. So he steps in. And again, 3 years later, so what would that be? 2027 or 2028? What would it be? That he would end up passing and the VP would take over. People would like her so much that she would be voted in 2028. Very potentially strongly possible. We'll have to see how things go, because remember, Spirit does say things are still a bit in the air. So moving on, we'll talk much more, and I have February's prediction video with lots of predictions in that video coming up, so keep an eye out for that. I haven't finished or even actually done it yet, but I will have that out for you by the end of this week. So horror stories and travel destinations. So in the Bahamas, they're now warning tourists, or secretly trying not to warn them because they really don't want you to know, but they're allegedly warning people. Well, they actually are. There's articles about it, about mass amount of people being unalived. Basically, as if there's a serial killer on the loose. Remember Spirit's warnings a while back about being mindful at beach destinations, such as Acapulco, Mexico? Remember the warnings for Acapulco? And then something happened. This was a couple years ago, actually. And then things happened at Acapulco. But then it's all good now, for now. But I do feel that tourists would be at high risk. Well, I said that years ago, but I've been feeling that again. And that we would see many people unalived at tourist beach destinations. And this is exactly what's happening right now in the Bahamas. Bahama Mama. You ever have a Bahama Mama? That's a good drink. Good drink. Not that I drink anymore, but it's a good drink, especially when you're on the beach. So the island paradise, beloved by tourists, has been placed under an official travel warning due to a surge in people being unalived. Almost 8 million people visited the Bahamas and the Caribbean last year. So it's 700 islands are famed. I don't want to know all that. I just want to know what's happening. The U.S. and Americans who take up 90% of the visitor ships. Oh, I hate when they do that. Go away. But you got the point. I don't know how many, because this article, I should have found a better article than this one. So yeah, the Bahamas level. What is this? The Bahamas is now listed as a level 2 on the U.S. 4 advisory levels for tourists. Australia is actually at level 1. I didn't know that. The lowest level where only normal precautions are advised. Oh, okay, that's a good level. Level 2 is a fairly regular advisory for many countries. For instance, France, Germany, and the UK are all level 2 tourist destinations. In the Caribbean, several countries, including Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, are listed as more risky than the Bahamas. They are at a level 3 or considered travel reconsider travel. Wow, they tell you to reconsider travel. Interesting. While Haiti, I would imagine Haiti's in chaos right now too, by the way. A country that has been plagued by gang violence and kidnapping for years. Yeah, we know who took lots of kids from there when the big earthquake happened. That foundation. We know. Remember, Clinton's advisor or somebody from Clinton was arrested for trying to sneak kids out of the country. Yeah, remember all that? Yeah, but they got away with it, and all that money disappeared. The corruption. I look forward to the days that this corruption comes to a complete halt, because it's coming to a halt eventually. Like I said, many things are going to happen before that, but that's what we have happening there. So, however, now Spirit pulls me still back to Mexico. And very strongly today I was pulled to Mexico, and it's an easy guess to me that the cartel is going to have some kind of hand behind what's coming, if not all incidences in general, what's going to play out during the summer months. I also see an issue for tourists, mostly Americans actually, being kidnapped and held hostage in the future, while I see others being unalived as a threat of some sort. So I had all these crazy visions came flowing in my brain today. And it's sometimes hard to sort them out. Or sometimes you want to relate them to each other, but they're not always related. So again, during the summer months, I see issues of tourists, mostly Americans, being kidnapped and held hostage, while I see a few being unalived as a threat of some sort. Some of my visions reminded me of the Obama days. Remember the Obama days when they were, totally like guillotine style? That popped in my brain, if you know what I mean. So something sort of like that, I would assume. I also see something horrific occurring on a beach along the African coast. I'm not sure where. Africa's a big continent. I'm not sure where I was exactly, but I saw basically a not so good event happening on a beach. Likely a different occurrence. I feel like these are different occurrences. But I heard pow, pow, pow on the beach, and I saw people running in all directions. Now, I believe in this case, this is separate too. I believe this is separate than what I saw in Africa. This particular one, I believe, is in the United States, actually. I'm not sure where. Florida popped in my brain, but I'm really not sure where. But I see another incident that appears to be pirates. Remember my warning for pirates in my 2024 predictions? Or actually, I think it goes back to last year. Pirates raiding tourist destinations. So they're not just going after other ships. They're going to be going after tourist destinations. And I'm not clear where this is happening or where this is going to happen. Not where it's happening, where it's going to happen. So be mindful. If you see boats coming in, folks, come to your beach. Run. Get off that darn beach as fast as you can. So we'll hear a lot more about beaches in 2024. And ocean incidences, like boat incidences. People, being unalived by sinking in the waters. So I saw a vision of a big rogue wave. I don't believe it was a tsunami because it came and gone, so it looked more like a rogue wave that washed people off the beach, sucking several people right into the sea. I don't know where this was. We will see incidents of toxic waste washing up on beaches and problems along beaches of Australia and New Zealand. So this could be also a year where there's a record amount of beach closures in 2024 and into 2025. So be mindful, friends, when you're out and about riding those waves this summer. So in some other news, because I think we're way past time. I had a lot today, my Lord. Lots of yapping. And again, remember, I got February predictions and lots of specific predictions coming your way. So in my 2024 predictions, we warned of the solar maximum becoming a huge issue that was going to take out some power grids, satellites, and radio communications. I just only made those predictions. Well, I did the predictions on December, I forget, some point in December, but they aired on other platforms on New Year's Day. So I was talking about this happening, losing communications and grids going down. Only weeks into 2024, friends, and we had our first big solar storm, major one, that has actually caused radio blackouts in both Australia and Indonesia. Odd kind of places, right? Kind of odd. Like they're not really right next to each other. They're not far from each other, but they're not next to each other. And this is just a sample, Spirit says, of what more is to come in 2024. So getting like EMF protectors for your stuff, just in case, is always a good idea. I don't have any, but it's definitely something to consider in case we get any EMF flares from the sun or any other EMF from, terror-related cells, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't feel that, but you always got to look at potentials. So do not completely be alarmed, though, when it comes to wide-range power outages, because there's going to be a lot this year. Record amount of power outages in 2024. But it's going to be for multiple different reasons. So remember my prediction in 2024 predictions, the solar maximum in 2024 is going to bring major ascension and light codes, but it's also going to affect grids, satellites, and electronics in certain parts of the globe. So, and that just happened. But Spirit says it's happening even more. That's just a little taste. So if we keep our eye to the sky, all of us, really on the sun's activity, not just the sky, what Spirit says you'll have a short warning. You'll have a short warning. So always pay attention to the flares and the short warnings. And I don't know how you would prepare for that. Maybe someone can enlighten us in the comments. How do you prepare for that? And Spirit says this isn't the only one that's going to hit the planet. Now, I see other power outages that are going to be related to this big thing that happens when the cities go into chaos. Attacked grids. It won't last long. They'll be back up and running, but some could be out as long as a month. So 2 things. If you're in a major city and the lights go out, don't be alarmed and think that you're being attacked. It could be related to the solar activity, especially it's during the day, and there's no storms. And you're like, why is the power out? Why is the whole city out? Because it's sunny out. A day like that. But also, when there's chaos happening and the lights go out, that'd be a little bit different. That's when you need to bunker down and be alert. Because there will be major power outages in big cities in the United States as a part of this infiltrating our country. They will fail. But again, in the beginning, it's going to look like a success. They'll be successful in making the attack happen, but they won't be successful in the outcome they want at all. So always remember that. They don't know what they're in for when they come to America. Americans, they might call us lazy, but we're tough. And we'll fight. We'll fight to the end like our ancestors did. So be aware of that. Did I miss anything here? And I'm about to head out to the Gem Show. Been there before, can't wait to go back. I'm actually heading down to Phoenix first. So next week I will not be here in Sedona. I plan to have a show. I'll plan on doing that from the apartment that I rented in Phoenix, Scottsdale actually, for my first few days until Sister Lori flies in and we drive to Tucson where we have an Airbnb for that. I'm looking very forward to it. But I do plan on having a show next Tuesday and it might end up being live. And I could talk so much more, but I got to cut out of here or this is never going to get uploaded in time. I will be back by the end of this week with February's predictions. You're not going to want to miss that. And the energy report, the numerology, the astrology, and specific predictions as we do every month. Other than that, I hope to have a Stranger Things episode done this week, but I might not. A very busy schedule and I'm going away on Monday. So if not this week, I will definitely record one and have it next week, when I'm on vacation, I'll have it, premiere. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for your love and support that makes this free content possible for everybody else. Thank you for showing your love by clicking that thumbs up button. It really means a lot and helps our tribe to grow. And if you're new to the tribe, we welcome you. If you, again, want accurate predictions, prophecy, and you made it this far in today's content and you're not a part of the tribe, you definitely got to smash that subscribe. So, friends, much love to each and every one of you. Remember to always hold positive things, positive thoughts in the light and in your heart. You are in control of your life and your future. Many people might be experiencing Armageddon times, but many people are going to be experiencing an amazing, beautiful day. Which side do you want to be on? I know what side I'm going to be on. So, until the next time, friends, celebrate life, celebrate you. Be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you. And remember to be bold. Be true, be kind, be you, because you are awesome. Rock out your awesomeness and have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. Don't go. Namaste. And much love, friends. Much love.